I'd like to call to order the April 6, 2010 meeting of the Louisville Planning and Zoning Commission and announce that we do have a quorum present. Item 2 on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the March 23, 2010 meeting. Do I have any comments, corrections, or issues to be raised by any of the commissioners on the minutes? And if not, do we have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion from Karen, second from Bill, to approve the minutes of the March 23, 2010 meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Meeting minutes are approved. Item 3 on the agenda is consent agenda plats. Item 3 is a continued item. It is the final plat of the Rasul Edition, Lot 1, Block A, a .39 acre tract zone general business located on the east side of Mill Street, just north of Business State Highway 121 at 906 South Mill Street. Mary.
Hello? Okay. Usually I have to press the button, but I guess they changed it around. This item, there you go, Bill. This item is continued from the previous meeting. Staff did receive the final signed copies, so we can go forward with the approval of this item. It meets all the requirements, and staff would recommend approval.
Thank you, Mary. Do we have any discussion on this item, this continued item, from anyone?
I was just curious if 906 is the correct address. The back of the building that used to be the lumber yard has 900 on it, and the building next to it between the lot, I think, was 896A or something.
That is the address that is on the tax records.
Okay.
So.
Okay, thank you, James. Anything else from anyone? And if not, do we have a motion to recommend approval? Actually, a motion to approve this item.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion from Karen, second from James, to approve item 3A. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Have to abstain.
We have an abstain from Bill on that one. And the motion carries on that item. Item 4 is the public hearing zoning. Item 4A is consideration of a zoning change request from light industrial to Old Town Mixed Use 2 on a .27 acre tract located on the west side of Keeley Avenue, just north of Purnell Street, further identified as tract 215 of the J.W. King Survey, abstract 696. The request is being made by Francisco Olivo, the property owner. Does this have a case number, Mary? Neither one of these have case numbers. Sorry. Okay. I caught you mid-microphone.
First one's 2010, 2010-0406. It's the first one.
Do you have a misspoke?
It's on the backup page.
Okay. So we're looking at the agenda front page, so I'm used to reading that and just realized they weren't on the agenda front page. That's fine.
Sorry about that. Yeah, normally we put them on the front page.
That's okay. Just caught me off guard. I've been reading those off for a long time, so suddenly struck me as incomplete.
This property is located on Keeley Avenue, just north of Purnell. It is within the Old Town district, right here. A little further up, we have some other property that's, I guess, along Main Street that's also been rezoned. Essentially, the owner wants to comply with our Old Town master plan, which does allow for Old Town Mixed Use 2 in this area, and just to have the flexible setbacks and to have that mixed-use zoning. So staff would recommend approval.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Do we have any questions for Mary before we open up the public hearing on this one? If not, then I will open up the public hearing on item 3A. I'm sorry, item 4A. Anyone wishing to speak in reference to item 4A may step forward and do so now. Don't believe we have anyone. Do we have a motion to close the public hearing on item 4A?
Close public hearing.
Second.
Motion from Karen, second from James, to close the public hearing on item 4A. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The public hearing is closed. Any final questions or discussions on this one, Commissioners? And if not, do we have a motion to recommend approval for item 4A?
Make a motion to recommend approval.
Motion from Karen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alvin to recommend approval of item 4A. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries on item 4A. Item 4B is consideration of a zone change request from agricultural open space to light industrial on several tracts totaling 4.63 acres located on the west side of Hofer's Prairie Road, south of Midway Road, further identified as tracts 30, 34, 35, 40, 41, 42 of the S. Hayden Survey, Abstract 537, and Lot 1, Block A of Lee Estate. The request is being made by the Van Tile Group with permission from the property owner.
Again, this piece of property here is located in the east part of town, just south of 121 and Midway Road, on the west side of Holford's Prairie. The Van Tile Group came before you probably a month or so ago and rezoned this property right here. Currently, they're looking at purchasing an additional portion, which is the portion in question this evening. Again, they are a car wholesaler division. They are looking at incorporating this property into the larger tract that they're looking at purchasing. The requested zone change is consistent with everything else that is out there and what they've requested in the past. On your chairs today, should have had an email that I received this morning. We did get one response to the zone change. It's from a Dusty Jansen who lives at 1753 Raintree Lane, which is it's just south of this property. I believe it's right here. She is opposed to this. She was not able to make it this evening, but she did provide an email for you to read. Essentially, it's saying that they live on Raintree Lane, and they have several children. There's other children in the neighborhood, and they don't believe that this zone change or business of any sort would make it safe for them, for their kids to continue playing outside. She has concern with fire trucks, ambulances being able to get to their house or travel along those roads if truck traffic continues. And I'll give you a moment to read it, and if you have any questions.
Mary, is the main access to that property from Midway and then from 121?
To which property?
The one in the zoning request.
Oh, the Van Tile?
Yeah.
It's my understanding, they're working on a site plan, but what they're looking at doing is using the property that's out front here, and I think they're proposing an additional entrance over here for some car drop-off. We haven't had a formal submittal yet, but preliminary drawings, which my mind's a little foggy because it's been a few months. But the engineer is here, and I'm sure could explain a little bit more to you in more detail.
So that would be her concern, is not Hofford's Road, but the other road.
Yeah, because I think their access is actually off of Barfnick Lane.
Okay.
But I don't believe that, the access to this property, I believe the main access is going to be off of here. There was another minor access point over here, and I think they're going to have their detailing area on this side. But again, they haven't submitted a formal site plan for us to review. What we're looking at tonight is the zoning. The zoning in that area, again, everything around there is either ag open or light industrial, and has been going to light industrial.
Any other questions from any of the
Have
commissioners?
we talked to the fire, ambulance, those people about this, what you're saying could happen with the inability to get those emergency vehicles in there?
No. We do have a new, I guess, fire station that is off of 544, just west of this location, and they do have direct access to, I believe, right up to 121. A lot of the roads in that area are substandard. When they do come in for their platting and site planning of the property, part of their requirement, is to upgrade their portion of the road. So I believe that they do intend on doing that.
Any other questions or comments for Mary?
When do you expect to get a preliminary plat in, Mary?
I'll let Vaughn answer that.
In the mail right now?
Don't go anywhere yet, Mary. Okay.
Okay.
I'm curious, Mary, does it matter for the use that they're going to make of this property? Does it matter what we zone it? I mean, right now it's ag open. Ag open is pretty...
They need to rezone the property.
Okay. So right now with the ag open, they can't do what they want to do with it?
Correct.
Okay. And you're saying that most likely the current access for like this individual here and maybe others that are there is not going to be the same access that the Van Taal Group is going to use, because they're going to use something off of Midway and then maybe one off of Barfneck there, like you said.
Like I said, I'll let Vaughn answer where their access is
Okay.
going to be, because we haven't seen the formal submittal. But obviously, the people that live here are going to be accessing Barfneck.
And that is where this person is at, this Dusty Jensen?
I believe Raintree Lane is right here.
Okay. And just one additional comment. It seems like, you talked about that a lot of the roads are substandard, and, part of the process of them submitting their plat would be to,
The plat will identify...
sorry, once they start to develop, in other words, once they submit their site plan, part of it is to bring the road up to better standards. But as we often know, particularly in these areas where a lot of these roads are substandard all around, the city has often given waivers and variances to just, I guess, sort of take that money and, probably keep it for something else that might be needed in the city pool.
No,
So
the way the escrow works for roads is that money goes towards that road. It can't be used for other roads.
But a lot of times it doesn't get developed right away. I mean, we've seen that a number of times where pieces of roads just, because they would only be fixing like, one little tiny piece on Barfneck and one little tiny piece on Midway, and generally then it ends up being waived. So what I don't
Well,
want to...
it doesn't get waived. It gets waived if they ask for a variance. There's a potential for it to get waived. But
Right.
typically, instead of building it, they're required to escrow it. And then once a portion of the road where it's made worthwhile to redo it
Right.
is done and all the money's there, they will
I understand that. I just don't want the expectation that necessarily as soon as, the site plan is done, they're going to be, and they're starting to construct, that these roads are going to become magically just great and wide and paved.
That's not necessarily the case.
Right.
I apologize.
It could be. That could be. But in this type of area, I don't know that that's going to happen the day they start building. It most likely will not, from my experience. But I know that's not set in stone either way. So.
Right. That's more of an engineering
Okay.
item.
One more question. Aren't these roads out there used through prescriptive use, the property lines go to the center of the road?
Until we have a survey, I don't know where the property lines
I
are.
believe they do. So if you build, if you got to build a road, you can only build half of it. Because the other part of it belongs to somebody else, you got to have their permission also.
Hey, Bill, can you lean a little bit in? I can't even hear you over here.
You're
Sorry.
too far from the microphone. And the TV audience can't hear you either, I'm sure.
I'm stopped up. You'll have to forgive me. I'm stopped up. You'll have to forgive me.
I understand that one.
I made the comment that these roads out there are usually prescriptive use,
Yeah.
and the property lines go to the center of the road. So even if they came in to develop this thing, that they still have to get the property owners on both sides where the roadway is
Correct.
and get them to donate or pony up or whatever.
Correct.
So
I actually have another question, Mary. How much, other than, I guess, right around that Rain Tree, is it, that little street that comes in there, is there much any other, are most any living, people who are living in any type of single-family type dwelling, whatever it might be, just sort of scattered around, since this is kind of just open agricultural type land? And
Right. There's a few homes. I think there's a home right here, a few houses. There are a few mobile home parks scattered in and around that area.
And this is so if you look at this property line, like to the south of it, I guess south of it, and sort of up around the east side there, this one is the only letter we've gotten of anyone out of that, which I'm assuming there's probably a few others that are using those roads that are close to it, connected to it.
Right.
Okay.
I've only received a phone call this morning. She said she couldn't make it, and I asked her, if she could send me an email or fax me something. So
Okay.
it's the only call that I'm aware of.
Okay. Thanks, Mary. Anything else?
I think we'll table it until we get the site plan.
You're going to have to lean in so people can hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm going to make a recommendation that we table this until we get a site plan on this thing, because there's too many things hanging in the air.
But do we normally do a site plan before you?
Well,
No.
I believe their purchase of the property is contingent on them receiving the.
It's contingent
Zoning
on
change.
them getting the zoning for the property.
I'll let them speak for that, but that's normally the case. They own the rest of this property
Right.
like this. So they're looking to add on this section here.
Why do you need to see the site plans, what I'm wondering? Our job there tonight is
For
to...
access to the property.
Our job tonight is to find the highest, best use for the land. Is that correct?
Right, we're looking at the zoning for
You're
the
looking at
property.
zoning.
And other
That's
considerations such
engineering.
as plans to, improve roads or build additional access in should be considered after, I would assume.
Right, that's part of this engineering site plan process.
That's the platting
Right.
process.
So we really need to determine a bit abstract from those types of considerations at some level, whether that's the best use of that in that whole area, considering what's going on there right now.
Is open ag the best use for that land, or is light industrial the best use for that land? That's the question.
Mr. Chairman, we
Yes,
open
sir.
up the public hearing first and then discuss.
I will. I just want to make sure we're done with anything we need from Mary. So, okay, so anything else for Mary before I open up the public hearing? Okay, then at this time I will open the public hearing on item 4B. Anyone wishing to speak in reference to item 4B can do so now. Step forward and tell us who you are and sign in if there's a sign-in sheet there. I don't know if there is or not.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Vaughn Bucher with G&A Consultants, 111 Hillside Drive here in Louisville. And I can answer some of the questions, but as Ms. Banker said, I think really tonight is all about the zoning. So I'm going to focus my comments on the zoning and maybe touch on some of the other questions and comments that I've heard. I'm here on behalf of the Van Tuyl Group, who is purchasing the property. As Mary said, again, contingent upon zoning. They've purchased the Hearst auto auction property, which is already in existing use, although they haven't been operating it for the last few years. The Van Tuyl Group intends to kind of revamp it and start that operation again. So the use has already been there in the past, and we're going to expand it and continue that same use. As Mary said, the current property is over here, has a little bit of frontage on Holford's Prairie, and then it actually goes around these three warehouse-type buildings and comes up and again comes back in, does not include the corner piece. So there is frontage all along Midway Road, all down here to Barfnicht, and then this piece of frontage on Holford's Prairie. Then with the addition of the Lee property, there would be this additional frontage. I don't want to get too far out of the zoning, but we do have a site plan that was prepared, and when the Lee property became available, there's a possibility that we could include that into the mix. Then we held off submitting our site plan and plat. We've already gone through the calculations on how much the escrows are going to be, and they're in the significant 6 figures worth of escrows for the three roads. And then if we add the Lee property, that number will go up even higher. But the Van Tuyl Group is acknowledging that, and they know that that's part of the process when they plat and site plan. I've got another map here that, if I can just overlay here, it shows a little bit bigger picture, and I just did this out here in the audience. I sketched in red where the Lee property is, where we're requesting the zoning. All the blue on this map represents existing light industrial zoning, and then you can see further over to the west here, there's even some dark gray, which I think that's heavy industrial. So it's not out of character that this property should be zoned light industrial. In fact, I think that's it's in good keeping with the character, because there's light industrial literally on all 4 sides of this property. So again, that's the purpose for the request, and I'm certainly in favor of it. I think it fits with the master plan, and I'll be glad to answer any other questions if you have them of me.
Thank you. Any questions? Nope. Thank you, sir, very much. Do we have anyone else?
My name is Pat Lee, and I live at 500 Holford's Prairie Road, and I am the landowner of this property that they want to get rezoned. This rezoning is consistent with master plan that Louisville has had for that area for a long time. And I've been on the website and looked at it many years ago to see, you know, what was going to, y'all were planning to do with us out there. And so I do support this rezoning to be consistent with everything, with the light industrial that's all around me, across the street, north, south, and the Braintree Lane, you know, is the only, it's going to be left open ag behind me. So, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you.
I'm Susan Myers, and I reside at 527 Holford's Prairie Road. And I am 100% for this. That area out there has been overlooked for many, many years and is substandard to the degree that it's unfit to live in some of the areas. The city needs to pass this zoning and bring the quality of life around that area up to the city standards. So I would appreciate all your vote in passing this zoning and trying to get that area of Louisville up to the standards of your city. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we have anyone else wishing to speak in reference to item 4B? If not, do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Make a motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Motion from Karen, second from James, to close the public hearing on item 4B. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The public hearing is closed. Additional comments or discussion from the commissioners, or any concerns with this? Okay. Anything before we...
Okay.
Pardon?
What did Bill say?
I think he just said...
I agree with it.
He's good.
Yeah, just cleared a lot of things out here.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Didn't hear you again.
Okay, if we have no other discussion, is there a recommendation for approval or denial of this item?
So move
For which, sir?
for approval.
To approve item 4B for the zoning change?
Second.
Second by Alvin. So we have a motion by Bill and a second by Alvin to recommend approval of the zoning change for item 4B. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries, and that will be the recommendation to City Council. Item 5 are the reports. Mary, no reports. Nothing on there.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Item 6 is adjournment. We have a motion from Karen, second from Alvin to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.